Then you're that new? I'm sorry, I didn't realize you were that new.
Yeah, I got started on Valentine's Day
Oh,
of this year. Yeah, kind of a cute start date. But I was previously in the corporate world. I did sales and marketing jobs kind of from 18 until up until very recently, and my career progressed pretty well and pretty quickly, but I hated it. It just felt out of alignment. And so when I was in between jobs, most recently, I was like doing my thing on LinkedIn, whatever, trying to figure out what my next step would be. And at the same time, I decided to potentially sell some of my mainstream modeling pictures that I did just kind of working with photographers that I connected with through Instagram. I was going to potentially sell some of those on OnlyFans just as a side hustle. So I made my new Instagram for that. And 3 days into the account, like 30 followers in, got scouted by a member of the X Suite team, so Holly Randall's X Suite, um, and they saw potential in me and wanted to shoot with me as early talent for their platform. And it was obviously an amazing opportunity. I had always been interested in the adult entertainment industry, but I didn't feel like it was something that I was supposed to go for. So I just went the more traditional path. But when this opportunity presented itself to me, I it both was too good to say no to, and also too visible to kind of just dip my toe in and hope
right,
for the
right.
and yeah, try to make a subtle transition. So I once I knew, okay, if I'm going to do this, I got to do it. I signed with Zen Models and shot my first studio scene with ex Koji Girls on the 14th, and then I shot my Slade debut on um, like a little under 2 months later.
Any questions there? But you were fascinated with the adult business. Did you know what that was when you first saw it? Did you see it and think it was cool and it's something that might be interesting?
So I have always been really passionate about art and about like health and human sexuality. Those have just always been areas of interest for me. I had been like intellectually interested in sex even before I had a libido of my own. Like I was just interested in like what makes people tick from a really, really early age. And I'd seen even like various documentaries here and there about porn and the behind the scenes. And it's funny, most of those sorts of uh, films, especially at this time, it would have been like the early 2010s when I came across them. Like they portrayed things in a very negative light. And so what I was seeing out there, it wasn't that I wanted to do that, but I had a sense that this isn't the only way. Whatever they're showing isn't the whole story, and I'm really interested in what that other story is. Um, and I had like small interactions sort of here and there with like sex workers just throughout my life. Like just I was roller skating by the beach and ended up chatting with some strippers, stuff like that. And I'd always really connected, like I'd hit it off really well with everyone that I'd met in the industry. And I've always been very expressive with my sexuality. Like it's something that I felt like pulled to like show and display to people that want to receive that, even if it's someone that I wouldn't necessarily want to have that hands-on experience with. So it just always felt intuitively really right for me.
You you decide to do the Holly Randall gig.
Mhm.
Are you doing that for the money or for the attention?
For what?
When you decide to get into business, basically, do you do it for the
Yeah.
money or for the attention?
Um, I don't know if really either of those are what it's about for me. I think that I really am above all drawn to it creatively. I also, as a lesbian in my real life, want to be authentic representation. And I want to create stuff that centers our gaze, and I want to create stuff that shows that like sex between two women is just as real as sex between a man and a woman, and you don't need them in order to make it count. And it doesn't need to be about anyone but us. Um, and so that's sort of one of the areas that I'm a little bit more mission driven with it. I want to make really cool, really pretty things. So I think that really the thing that I'm most like the reason that I got into it is mainly out of creative drive and out of like a desire to express. And then the money and the notoriety that comes with that, like neither of those hurt, of course. And I'm like happy, like I'm happy that those come with it because that's what makes it sustainable. But really, for me, it's about the creative aspect above all.
You mentioned you're into women. Do you shoot with men or just women?
Just women.
Is,
Yeah.
go ahead. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No, I plan to shoot exclusively with women throughout my entire career. I know that sometimes girl scene is sort of like the entry level thing. And I totally respect anyone else's journey with the industry, but I want one of my goals is to sort of change the way that it's viewed as where it's not seen just as entry level. Like it can be the full blown thing. Like I would love to one day further down the line have an all girl showcase, for example, where I'm still doing everything that you'd expect of a boy girl performer to do, but just all ladies only. I think that there's something like the energetic connection when you have two women that are genuinely into women. It's like connecting to femininity, I think, on like this higher level. And I've been really lucky to work with with several performers that like girls. Um, Most of them have been bi, but still, that's just as into women as me as a lesbian. And so I've heard from some people that there's kind of been like a downtick lately in the like amount of performers that really have that drive to work with women. But I think I'm coming at it at a time where it seems like we're on the precipice of sort of a girl renaissance, and I'm excited to potentially be a part of that.
I agree with you. I think it's very badly needed.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah.
have you been into women your entire life? And when did you realize you like
Hmm.
girls and so forth?
Yeah. So, going if I go back to like in hindsight, it was so I had massive crushes on girls as long as I can remember. Like I had crushes on women when I was 3 years old. Um, and it, but it took me a while to get to that point of self-understanding. I think that I didn't really think about things when I was really young because your just head isn't in that space necessarily. Um, and then I lived in a suburb that was like surface level liberal, but it kind of wasn't as
Right.
tolerant below the when you really got into it. And so I kind of went from kind of like actively going into the closet around middle school to just fully convincing myself that I was straight by high school. Um, and I gave guys a solid try through high school and college, but realized I realized air quotes that I like girls or accepted that I like girls when I was 18, and then realized that I was not actually into guys when I was 20. Um, but yeah, it took a while to get there, but I've noticed it's kind of common that I hear gay guys all the time are like, oh yeah, I knew without a shadow of doubt since day one, every girl that I know in my generation, it's like 2 decades and a boyfriend. It's like the classic thing for every Gen Z lesbian that I know.
So have you always been comfortable going up to another woman, maybe hitting on her or talking to her?
Yeah, I think I'm very comfortable with that. I'd say that as like a feminine woman that likes other feminine women, usually it's kind of a natural transition from kind of talking as to like talking platonically to realizing that there's more of a vibe there. It flows pretty naturally. Um, I think that when it comes to like someone that I like more seriously, I tend to like women that are a little bit more in charge and take more initiative. So a lot of times I end up being the one that approached when I'm really into it. But sort of for like light, fun, casual stuff, yeah, I feel very comfortable talking with women now. I'd say that like I was more shy and awkward around other girls when I was younger and when I was in the closet, and I didn't even realize that I was getting the time, so I wasn't thinking about it that way. But it made it hard for me to make friends with girls because I was just overthinking everything in my head, not realizing that I was attracted to them and that I was self-conscious about that and all of that. But yeah, since then I've gotten really confident about it.
And do you have a look? Everybody has a look. Type of girl you like.
I would say like I like other women that are more on the femme side. I'd say kind of like vaguely around my size, like so I'm like 5'7", so kind of like average-ish height, athletic, takes care of herself. I think that just women with a strong sense of who they are and who know what they want. Yeah, I'm very attracted to like very powerful women.
Then you're submissive with women? You're dom?
Mhm. I can do both. I think that I oftentimes, especially early into my career, when I'm working with other new girls, I tend to take a more dominant role, especially if they're not as experienced with women. Um, but I think that I can do both, but the degree to how submissive I can be is higher than the degree to how dominant I can be. But I won't submit to just anyone. Like I have to like feel really compelled to have that happen. But I love it when it does.
And sexually speaking, are you
Yeah.
different on camera than off?
Huh?
Uh, when you shoot films, are
Yeah.
you wilder, crazier on camera than maybe you are at home? Or are you at home because you're more comfortable?
Um, I I don't so far I haven't had too much of a difference between what I do at home versus what I do on camera. I the one caveat being I'm hypermobile, so I um can get into lots of very crazy positions, and do I don't necessarily put both of my feet behind my head when I'm having sex at home. Um, but I'd say that overall, I've been lucky enough to just have directors that have liked me being authentically who I am and just curating that chemistry with the women that I'm with. Um, I'm definitely open to doing stuff where I'm doing a little bit more acting or I'm playing a little bit more out of character. But I think that I also kind of instinctively am kind of like to be the reciprocal to whatever my partner is, on or off camera. So if I am with someone who likes things softer, then I'll kind of naturally want to go softer, vice versa.
Then do you like rough sex? Off camera, on camera?
hmm Yeah, I definitely like rough. I, I'd say that I prefer to be more submissive with rough sex for the most part. I um I can have fun being the more dominant one. I think I just get nervous about it if someone's newer too. because I don't want to like hurt anyone when I do it. And I used to be an athlete, so I'm not as strong as I was back in my water polo days, but I still sometimes are like, oh, I don't know my own strength. Um, but yeah, I definitely I am very sensual, so I like an intense sensory experience all over, whether that's just a lot of gentle touching or if it's like full on rough or like even a like shibari. I've been like dabbling in electrical play, like all that's also been fun.
For sake of discussion and
Mhm.
assuming that the person knows what they're doing when it comes to rough
Yeah.
sex, which a lot of people don't, hair
Yeah.
pulling is okay for you? Pulling
Oh
your
yeah,
hair?
absolutely.
Slapping?
I actually just had just like a gentle slap on the face last night for the first time, and I really enjoyed it. So I'm new to
Uh,
that one, but it was fun.
dirty talk.
But
I'm sorry.
uh,
Sorry to
yeah,
interrupt you.
no, 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 not at all. Dirty talk. I'm currently developing that more. I like being on the receiving end for of it for sure. I sometimes I get too focused to speak or too lost in the world that the woman that I'm with is creating for me to speak. So sometimes I get a little bit too overwhelmed to talk, but when I can, I like it.
Dirty talk for you, is it, oh, you're so pretty and I can't wait to have sex with you? Or is it just you're a dirty girl and I want to do all this stuff to you?
I like a little in between. So I generally like sweet but playful. So like it's not just like the oh you're so pretty, but like I like to be somewhat like someone's like good little slut. Like so there's like a tenderness to the roughness. I like that sort of juxtaposition.
Do you like being spanked?
Yes. Mhm.
We did that. We did that.
Mhm.
Are you into BDSM?
I'm I'm new to BDSM, but so far enjoyed what I've explored. Really, I've done a lot of research just to get a sense of like what different dynamics are out there. I'm interested in trying more role play stuff. I really love. I really enjoy rope. I've had some fun with electrical play too. I like some of the stingy impact stuff. Um, I've noticed that steady impact play isn't as much my thing because I'm a roller skater. So like just like the blunt force on my butt just feels like I'm falling on the pavement. Like if my legs come untied, but
And
mhm.
have you worked with blindfolds and handcuffs and being tied up and all that? Have you done that stuff yet?
Yes, yeah, I've done some of that, and it's been a lot. Not on camera yet, but I've had fun with it in my personal life.
In that situation, is it a turn on for you that you're giving up control?
Um, it's a little it's kind of multifaceted for me. So with being tied, I also some of it's like a physiological thing for me because I have it's called Ehlers-Danlos. It's a hypermobility thing, but basically my like joints are all too loose, which means that my muscles are kind of always working to hold my body together. And so when I'm tied, it's picking up the slack that my connective tissue is leaving behind, so I'm able to relax more because it's something essentially holding me together. But I also do like the feeling of just being at the mercy of someone that I can trust. So I like the feeling of like giving over control to someone that I feel safe with. And then I think also just I've noticed that I tend to need I can't do a moderate amount of stimulation overall. So I need to either be in like a silent room, not even thinking about much, just like my hands and that's it. Like when I'm masturbating, or I need some sort of something else going on. So whether it's that it's rougher, that there's a camera there, like something else for me to like to have going on in my brain. It's the same way that when I was in school and I was writing papers, I needed to have music playing. I just need like enough focus in order to enough things pulling my attention to give all of my attention to properly enjoy myself, if that makes sense.
More than enough.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
no, I need music too when I write
Yeah.
and I cut, so I
Yeah.
understand that. You as a woman, what is it that gets you going? You like your neck nibbled, your boobs played it, maybe your pussy licked, I don't know.
Mhm. Yeah. I mean, I think that I have very sensitive neck. I'm very sensitive in general. Um, I love like that I like the areas of my body that are the most sensitive. I can enjoy gentle and rough stimulation on either. So, like, if someone's gently caressing my neck or if someone's like grabbing it or biting it, those are both amazing depending on the mood that I'm in. Someone could be scratching my head really or like playing with my hair, or they're just like twirling it, or they could be pulling it back. Um, like all of that, I'd say like my neck, my head, my nipples, my like inner thighs for sure. um like I yeah, I'm sensitive all over. I like hard and soft pretty much everywhere. I sometimes with clit stimulation I need it to be a little bit more gentle, or I can get overwhelmed that I go into like numb mode. But everywhere else, no, like people can be as rough or as gentle as they like.
And overwhelmed, is that you're so turned on to what's going on, or is that anticipation of what you hope will happen?
It's God, I mean, sometimes it's what a woman's doing to me. I've also like orgasmed just from like fingering a girl or going down on her. Just like I can come just from giving someone that I have a real connection with pleasure. I think there has to like that's less of a casual thing for me. But yeah, it depends on who I'm with. I think that sometimes things are just completely just a physiological response. Like, oh, if you're touching me in the right way, if you're touching my clit, my G spot, my neck, all of that, like I'm probably gonna get there. Or if I'm with someone that I really like, then yeah, just seeing her enjoying herself can be enough on its own.
Are you a direct woman when it comes to sex? Like, for sake of discussion, this is like a bad porn scene, but just go with it. If you're
Mhm,
at a bar and you see a woman that's stunning,
mhm.
well, would you walk over to her and whisper dirty things in her ear? Or if someone did that to you, how would you respond?
I would respond very well if someone did that to me. Um, if I really like someone, that's the one time that I get nervous. So if I'm casually interested in someone, then I can be a smooth talker all the way. I can make the first move, really take initiative. But I I'm really great at knowing when someone's into me until I'm really into them. And then once I'm really into someone, then I get like all giddy and awkward, and I hate it. I think it's so cringy the way that I get when I'm like really really attracted to someone. So I I enjoy it when they're direct with me, but I become too much of a mess to be the direct one.
You see a woman you think is attractive. Where do your
Mhm,
eyes go first? Do you check out her butt? Do you check out her boobs? Do you look where?
mhm. I think eyes. Um, like I think that like the eyes are just like on a woman hypnotic. When it comes to like physical features, I'd say that I really like legs and boobs are probably like the like on the body my favorite parts, but I like appreciate every part of a woman. But I'd say like probably overall eyes, and then second place is tied between legs and boobs, depending on the person, depending on what they're working with, I guess, or what they're wearing.
You walk into a bar and we're definitely checking you out. What do you think we're looking at first?
Let's see. If I'm at a bar, I'm probably dancing, so you're probably looking at my moves. So, but I'd say, um, other than that, probably either my smile or my ass. I'm not good at catching people checking it out. I think that I've kind of gotten so desensitized to it because I was a water polo player, like in my adolescence. I had it out on display full time, and also like I'm very happy with my butt now, but my butt when I was like 18, 19, and I was in the peak of my athletic career was insane because I was playing. Yeah, I was doing water polo like 8 hours a day, 5 days a week in the summer. It was like my full time job. So um, I think that because of that, sometimes now I get surprised when I still get credit for it. I'm like, really? You haven't even seen the peak era that I had, unfortunately. But
When you see a woman in the bar, you check her out, you think
yeah.
she's hot, does your brain immediately go into naughty thoughts? Or are you thinking like, how can I approach this person? How can I?
Hmm. Um, God, if I think that there are degrees to it. So I think that depending on the person, sometimes I'll want to be the one in control. Sometimes I'll think about like really it's more about like what could I do to please them? Like I want to enchant the person that I'm with essentially. So like that's where my mind goes initially is like what can I do to drive her crazy? Um or if I am completely stunned by a girl, I then my mind almost goes blank. then 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 I'm second guessing myself more. Then I'm like, oh, does she feel the same way? It feels like she does, but I don't know until we get past that initial barrier. But yeah, so I think that I go back and forth between like the things that I want to do to her and then the things that I'd want her to do to me, depending on the girl.
Other than someone being direct, what would
Yeah.
be the easiest way for a woman to have sex with you or do something? Do you guys go on
Let's
dates? Does
see.
she buy you stuff? Does she?
Uh-huh. Um, I'm not really much of a dater. I think that like just going from not knowing someone to going on a dinner date, um, hasn't really ever appealed to me. I think that usually, usually what happens with me is I form a friendship with someone, and then if that mutual attraction's there, then we act on it. So I think really like the best way to like make me yeah for me the like easiest way to make me sleep with someone is to have fun with them, like whatever that means. So that could be going to the beach, actually could be like teaching her to roller skate, going dancing, like whatever it is. If we're having a good time, and I'm feeling that energy, then I'll be like in the mood. I think that like gifts and things are nice, like of course, like who doesn't like being treated like a princess? But for me, I think just like having fun and seeing a girl in her element. So like if I see someone doing something that they're really passionate about, um, or talking about something that they're really interested in, it could be something that I don't know shit about. Like it could be any niche interest, any hobby, any talent. I don't have to have any interest in it myself, but seeing a woman's like face light up when she's talking about something that she's really passionate about, or seeing her just like doing something that has her completely in her own element, like where I'm just like seeing her truest expression of herself. If I like that, then it's then it's all over for me. Then I'm locked in at that point.
And for sake of discussion, you hook up with someone, what is the correct
Mhm.
way to go down on you? Because every woman is different
Yeah.
how they like to be satisfied, if
Hmm.
that's the right way to say that.
Yeah. Um, God, I think overall, like the like simplest thing is just like clit stimulation, kind of not too soft, not too hard, just up and down is kind of the classic. But I think that I saw some like meme post or something a while back. It was like I don't know if it was like on Celeste's Instagram or something that was like the best way to eat the like number one tip to eating pussy is to be yourself and have fun. And I feel like there's some truth to that where it's like as long as you have like an understanding of the vulva enough to know like where the clit is and all of that, I think that really just like going in with enthusiasm and like that feeling of like if I can feel that someone's into it and that someone is like there because they want to be, that makes it a million times better.
For sake of discussion, if a person knows what they're doing when they go down on you, how long would it take them
Mhm.
to get you off?
Oh God. I mean, I can be if I've already had like if we've already had some foreplay, like making out, touching, it can be as short as a minute. I'm very sensitive. Um, and yeah, the more inherent chemistry that I have, the better. I can like I have like even like orgasms with people where I don't really have that as much. Like if the right like input is happening, then I can get there probably in like total foreplay to finish, like 10 minutes with just about anyone. I don't necessarily want to be just doing that because, I don't want to just do the mechanical response for the sake of it. But if the vibe is right and the person's right, it can happen very, very quickly.
And have you met somebody that you maybe didn't think would be all that much, and then you guys, you ladies, I'm sorry, you had
Mhm.
sex and it just blew your mind?
Um, let's see. I'm trying to think. I think that sort of the closest that I've had to that has been like people. I recently worked with a girl for an OnlyFans collab who was much more submit on the submissive side. And like typically I like girls who are yeah, who do take charge more and also who are kind of around my height. And she was this like very, very petite, blonde, more subby, not really my type on paper in that sense. Gorgeous girl, like don't get me wrong. But I was surprised that like we had very intense chemistry immediately. And I think part of it too is that we spent so much time at this collab house, like even when we weren't shooting social media content or explicit content, we were having a dance party in the living room. And so we like got that connection there. And she's also very creative and like has similar goals of like wanting to make stuff that's like pretty and cinematic and queer. And yeah, we during like one of the scenes, we had this moment where we were making out, and I was holding her, um, like she was like koalaed around my waist, and we were just making out at first, but she like got locked onto one of my hip bones, and then ended up being able to ride my hip. And like both of us after that, we were like mind blown over what happened because neither of us saw that coming. Neither of us did anything like that before. And so even though it's like out of realm of what I traditionally do, the fact that like little 5'7" me was able to fuck a girl standing up was kind of crazy. So yeah, something came over us in that moment. It was a lot of fun.
When you discuss someone going down on you, do you
Mhm.
have tricks or some things that you like to do when you go down on a woman? Do you start maybe your body, see how she reacts and all that, or do you go to a specific place?
I usually start with what I like. So usually I start with kind of like the like I'll tease a little bit. I'll like around her thighs, sort of like above, sort of like her pubic area, like all of that. I like to build up the tension. And then I'll start with kind of just like moderate, like kind of like, yeah, mainly on the clit and sort of just see from there what she likes. So I'll experiment a little like with like adding some suction, adding like more of a swirling motion, putting in a finger, putting in two fingers, kind of just like until I see sort of what her sweet spot is. Um, or depending on the girl, if she has multiple things that she likes, that just means multiple rounds. But unless I'm told otherwise, kind of like once I find a thing that's working, I stick with that pretty consistently, unless her body's cueing me to escalate it, or to pull it back. Because I think for the most part, um, most women that I've been with at least want consistency. Like you don't want to, if you have a good thing going, that's not the time to switch it up usually. Um, but I mean, everyone's different, so sometimes that's not the case. But yeah, I think also like when it is to women, you don't have like necessarily like the you don't have like the like finishing point that you have with straight sex, where a lot of times it's like, oh, once the guy comes, it's over. Where with women, it can be um like you can go on for hours. You can have it be a lot of orgasms. You can have it be more slow and sensual and just like really enjoying each other's bodies with maybe like still like you're coming, but maybe that's not the main objective. So I think that it can look a lot of different ways. So like sometimes sometimes when I go down on a girl, it's because it's the like hot and heavy fast, like getting her off, and sometimes it's just like I'm just there savoring it, just enjoying that interaction.
And do you like fucking or making love?
I like both. um I think that like it depends on who I'm with. I think that I have to have some sort of emotional connection to enjoy something that's more tender. But I like to do my ideal is to do both in one session. So start with one, do a little bit of the other, um, and yeah, go back and forth until we're too tired out or it's too early in the morning and we need to finally get some sleep.
You mentioned you use fingers on other girls. You like fingers on you, in you, I'm sorry.
Yes. Yeah, I like fingers. Um I like penetration, but I'm picky with it. So like I I personally have a genital preference. Like not every lesbian does. Like there are plenty of beautiful women out there that have penises. I just personally prefer pussy. And so I'm not a fan of like, the anatomically accurate toys either. So like I have one glass dildo that looks like a little like princess wand. It has like a little heart at the top of it. And so like I yeah, I love it when like a girl like rails me with that. So I think that I I didn't really explore penetration as much until recently. Um, because I yeah, I guess a lot of the girls that I was with before I was in the industry were less experienced. I've had a tendency to be a lot of girls' first girl. Um, with which my work with ex-Koji girls, I'm kind of continuing that pattern a bit. Um, but yeah, I've realized that I do really enjoy penetration and G-spot stimulation, whether that's with fingers or whether that's with a toy. Just when it's with the right person. I think I'm kind of just more picky with it that way.
Strap-ons and stuff?
Yeah, I've taken strap. I haven't been the one using it yet. I definitely want to. I yeah, and I plan to. I got like a cute little pink harness. I love toys and gear that have that sort of cute feminine aesthetic to them. I really like the juxtaposition of like the cute, pretty, fun stuff with the like dirtier, rougher, um, yeah, with or like kinky stuff. Like I like the Pink Dungeon in downtown LA. Like that scene is so right up my alley. So yeah, definitely down to take more strap and also to be on the giving end of it at some point.
You mentioned you were the first girl for a bunch of girls the first time.
Mhm,
In that situation, do you try and teach them what it's like to be with another woman? Do you enjoy the fact that you're the first person
mhm,
that's exploring this amazing body right in front of
mhm.
you? How do you approach that?
Yeah, it's it's stuff it's really special to me to be someone's first in that way. Um, I always like above all, I just want that girl to enjoy herself. So like if it's a girl's first time with me, she's the princess. Whether or not that means that she's being a pillow princess, that's a different story. But I think that um yeah, for the most part, like I'll usually take the lead a little bit at the beginning. Like I'll be the first one to go down on her, I'll be the first one to finger her, all of that. But because I don't know if I've been with a girl and she's turned out, yeah, I don't think I've been with a girl where she's turned out to be straight at the end of at the end of our time together. And so I think that with other queer women especially, um, like sometimes there's a little bit of coaching, but I think for the most part, because we're working with, well, not entirely the same, very similar equipment, um, there's sort of an intuitive understanding of what you're supposed to do. Um, it helps that I'm also pretty easy to please. um, but I, um, if they ask for pointers, I'll give them to them. But yeah, really, I just like to make those girls feel special, and I like to be. I want to be a memory that they look fondly upon for a very long time.
And we mentioned earlier you like being spanked. Do you do any other butt play? Do you do rim jobs or do you do toys in your butt? Anything?
I've very lightly experimented with rimming in my personal life. I haven't dove as much into that. I think I definitely will eventually get there. I kind of see myself in that way being a little bit more old fashioned, where I take that a little bit more slowly. But I'm definitely open to it. I'm a very explorative person. I like to try most things once. So yeah.
You mentioned you explored it. Has there been one thing recently you tried and you were amazed at how much you liked it?
Um, yeah, I would say um I've had let's see. Yeah, I think actually I've been with um a girl that like had like longer like pointed nails where she has like the lesbian manicure where it's like two are short and then the rest are long. And I don't normally think about long nails because, you know, like traditionally don't really want anything pointy like going down there. But she has the two short ones for like fingering. But I really like the feeling of being scratched. And that can be anything from again, just like the like lightly grazing on my skin with the nails to like full on like rough, harder scratching. So like I was even doing, I made a like girl custom a while back, and I it wasn't part of the script, but in the moment when a girl was giving me the strap, I like told her to scratch me in the moment it just came over me. Um, so that was definitely a new one, is sort of playing a little bit more with some of my more like masochistic side.
Scratching your
Mhm.
boobs, your butt, your stomach, your back? Is there a particular
Um,
spot that tends to get you
Everywhere.
going? Sorry.
Let's see. So back, inner thighs, um, yeah, breasts, ass, like I think, yeah, neck, everywhere. Um, even arms can feel good. Like, um, I think also like on the more gentle side, like scratching my head, like immediately like gets me like that is hypnotic for me. Like I'm immediately just like entranced with a person if they like just like gently scratch my head.
Do you think you intimidate women?
I've been told that I'm intimidating. Which I don't think I'm an intimidating person. But I've had a few people tell me that I'm intimidating. Um, but I don't know. I think that I'm probably guilty the same way, where if I really like a girl, I get intimidated by her too. Because I think that just coming at it from my own perspective, when I see someone that I'm very attracted to, and it's not just like that she's beautiful, but she's also really fucking cool. Like, because like that also feeds into it too for me, is I see this person and I think she's so amazing that how could someone like that constantly like ever go for little old me? And so I think that it's um less about me and more just about I think that a lot of queer women just we love women so much that when there's one that we like, how could we not be intimidated a little bit?
Do you date a lot then? Did you date because you're in this business and you have sex a
Mhm.
lot already?
I like I had like I didn't really date a lot beforehand. I just kind of had like casual hookups here and there with my friends. I think that like especially like because I'm 24 now, so just kind of like early 20s. I think that in the like community at least that I was in, it's like pretty normal to like, oh yeah, like you hook up one time and then it's still totally normal. You'll like go pee with all the rest of your girlfriends together in the bathroom at a party. It's like not weird at all. I think that that's kind of I've been um what I've done the most of because I I either am kind of in that casual headspace or I'm in the like all encompassing, oh my God, this girl's amazing. She's everything, the most perfect person on the planet. And I pretty rarely feel that way about people. So the like when it comes to what I would consider more of like a crush as opposed to just like an attraction, those are very few and far between. But when they come, they hit me like a truck. But it had been a while since I'd had any of those.
And where are you from originally?
Hmm?
Where are you from originally?
I'm from LA originally, so I lived in LA until middle school, and then came back for college, and then I spent some time in the Bay Area, in that in
I'm
between.
sorry to interrupt you. In grade school, do you have a favorite subject?
Let's see, I um like art and PE. I think especially art. And in college, I majored in critical theory and social justice with like a minor slash emphasis in gender and sexuality studies. and I minored in studio art, and I got my associates in health education. Um, but I I had trouble in school for a little bit. Um, not not by normal standards. I had like a 3.2 GPA in high school, which in most of the country is considered good, but in the area that I was in was considered bottom of the barrel. If you don't have a 4.0 in all APs, you're nothing. Um, but I'm dyslexic and I have ADHD, and I wasn't diagnosed with either of those at the time. So I was just working myself to the bone in school, and I didn't enjoy it for quite some time. And I do really like learning, and I love listening to audiobooks and all of that. But there was a time where I had to like take a step away from school to like regain that love of learning, of like, oh, if there's a subject that I'm interested in, I will completely dive in head first. But the traditional public school system wasn't always the best for me.
In high school, were you a popular girl? Were you a loner, a geek, a nerd?
So it was an interesting experience for me, middle and high school, because I was uh like I think that I was definitely like a weirdo in like middle school. I think that I just like my friend group wasn't particularly popular, and I came from LA, so I like was raised in a like actually progressive like hipstery area, and then I go to this like yeah, just like a suburb that's like very insular. And I think that even though like I wasn't out, and I don't know if like people like knew that I liked girls specifically, I think that kids are able to pick up on when you're different. And so I was kind of on the outskirts for that. And I was kind of a late bloomer and also a very sudden bloomer. So I was before I started high school, like at the very end of eighth grade, I was still 4 foot 11 and completely flat as a board. And then just suddenly freshman year of high school, I grew 7 inches and basically have the body that I have today, just out of the blue. And so I noticed that there was this kind of like cognitive dissonance that a lot of people had with me at the time because I was a hot loser. Um, so no one knew what to do with me. Um, I I was friends with some of the girls that were more popular, but like never the ones in my same grade. Just kind of weird dynamics because like the water polo team that I was in had a lot of popular girls on it, but they were sometimes inclusive, sometimes cliquey, kind of back and forth. Um, I tested out of high school when I was 16 because it just wasn't a fit for me. And once I tested out when I was still in the area but not part of the school, suddenly all these boys started flocking to me because like then there wasn't the um like then they could just be interested in me without there being any of like the social like, oh, you got with Ophelia, like what. Um so yeah, I was like like hot jockey loser kid who sometimes got to sit with the popular kids here and there in a way that was not confusing at all.
You mentioned you got attention from boys.
Yeah.
Did you use that to your advantage? Were you aware of it? Was that something you I don't know, enjoyed, didn't enjoy, you liked
Yeah.
it?
So I think that I like, yeah, especially when I was younger, like I really enjoy seducing people, whether or not I'm into them. Like I like that feeling, that power. And I think that going from an environment where I did feel very excluded to then having this ability over people, that was really interesting to me. And I'm not a gold star lesbian by any means. I gave guys a solid effort. But I read in in this book, I don't remember the exact quote, but it was something along the lines of like having sex with boys, like when you have like all those teenage hormones, it's like comparable to like eating like kind of like raw unseasoned broccoli if you've like been starving in a desert for 3 days, where you've got all those hormones in you. It's going to be better than nothing, but in any other context it's not going to actually be pleasurable. So I had that for a while, when I was in my teens, and I just had all these hormones going crazy that like anything was going to do it for me. And yeah, I mean, like I'll still take a free drink. I'll still do all that. Now I give it to my friends because I don't drink alcohol anymore, or I'll take a free sugar-free Red Bull. Um, and yeah, I think that I if I'm in the right mood for it, where if either it's in good faith or if the guy's kind of scummy, but I can get something out of it, I'll still be a little flirty here and there with them. Um, but yeah, for the most part, you're like sometimes I think sometimes I rate as awkward to guys because if I'm not interested in flirting with them for any reason, I don't have any sort of ulterior or anything. Um, and I'm just engaging with them like politely, but without sort of bouncing off of them. I think that sometimes they think I'm just really socially awkward, that I'm just like not picking up on their signals,
Right.
where it's like if you would just shoot your shot, we could move past this and then like continue the conversation normally. But I've had a few incidents of that, which are funny.
You mentioned seducing guys. Were you a cock
Mhm.
tease back then?
So I wasn't a tease really. I think I hooked up. I had sex with like six-ish guys total. I'm gonna say somewhere around there. But I um typically for the most part it was one night stands, because I lost interest after the fact. But what would happen to me is I would talk with a guy and I would like get excited that we're getting to this point, and like right before we had sex, that would be the point where in my head I was like, okay, cool, mission accomplished, I did the thing, and like that's like where I got the satisfaction. um, and then I kind of just like went through the motions with the sex. So I probably was the tease to some people, but I think for the most part, like when I was with guys, it was me kind of like just chasing like what it was supposed to be all about. Um, I went through the guys I feel really bad about, or not too bad, but that I feel the worst for are the in college. I would go to parties and I would make out with guys, and they like kept saying like, "Oh, someone said the boring kisser," when it wasn't that they were a bad kisser. It was just that I wasn't into guys. And I think by that point, like I wasn't like in the like peak puberty, like any sort of stimulation's gonna like make me respond way. So I might have accidentally besmirched a few representations of people, but I think everyone who would have heard that from me now knows that I'm a lesbian. So hopefully that's redeemed them in people's eyes.
I said it earlier, but were you ever bullied between grade school and high school? Or maybe grade school and before college?
Yeah, I was like made I was made fun of a lot for having a high voice, for being shorter than a lot of my peers. I got made fun of pretty like weirdly relentlessly for being flexible. So the area and generation that I was in, like the biggest insult that you could call someone was that they were a try hard. And so I got made fun of for being a try hard during the stretches in PE, when in reality I was just built that way. Um, I think that yeah, I think that I girls tend to be more subtle. Like they won't necessarily outright say what they're making fun of you for, but like they would make a show of whispering about me behind my back. They would like exclude me from things that I by all means should be invited to. I like had just like yeah, just a lot of like back talk, just people made made it abundantly clear that they were talking about me behind my back. I don't know everything that was said, but yeah, it was a place where they didn't like that you were different. And I went back there with one girl that I'm still in touch with who went to that school. I went to the local like the bar by the school, and I realized just how like oh yeah, like you are all supposed to be the same here. Like there's sort of like the one monoculture and people don't get out of that. And because I would go on to grow into the woman I am today, of course I didn't fit in with that. So it was really interesting to go back at it with an adult perspective of oh yeah, I didn't fit in and I'm all the happier about that.
And you mentioned you modeled earlier. Were you modeling in high school, or did modeling come in? You did mainstream modeling.
So I mostly worked like directly with photographers. It started mainly when I was getting out of college. Um, and which checks out because I started cutting my own hair. I um, retired from water polo, so I like wasn't as curvy, which for that like more mainstream world, they like you more of a similar shape to what I am today. Um, and so I just had photographers that would keep reaching out to me on Instagram, and I kept working with them. I got scouted by a commercial agency, but they kind of never really knew what to do with me because I like had too much of a look really to do commercial, but I was too short to do editorial or runway or any of that. So I was just a little bit in this no man's land. But yeah, I got to work with a lot of cool creative people. Um, and so it was never really a professional thing as much as a hobby. Or I guess the professional element just didn't quite take off, but still really enjoyed it. And I think that useful. Um, it's been useful getting into this industry because I already felt comfortable in front of the camera. I had sort of a sense of my angles. I yeah, like especially doing things like Pretty Girls or the promo stuff, or even just yeah, kind of knowing some camera awareness. Um, has been very helpful.
And did any of the photographers back then, I'm guessing you were just doing lingerie and bikini stuff, did any of them try to get you to do more risque shots or anything?
Yeah, so I kind of slowly worked up to that. So when I was like 20, 21, I would do mainly, yeah, like lingerie, bikini, or I'd do kind of like the classic, like Calvin Klein type topless, but wearing jeans sort of thing. And then more recently, in the past couple months, I was working with a photographer where it would be like, oh, like just tights and nothing else. And kind of like more like artistic, sort of like avant-garde posing and all of that. So I um I, I think yeah, I did like a couple one or two like nude or mostly um nude shoots with them. But they were more artistic than erotic.
Two-part question. You as a content creator, what is a good picture to you? Is it lit?
Huh?
You as a content creator,
Hmm.
what is a good photo to you? Is it something that's perfectly lit? Is it an expression?
Hmm.
Is it
I think I like stuff that has a story to it. So I think that like it I like when the camera quality, the posing, the facial expressions, the makeup, the wardrobe or lack thereof. I think that when all of this comes together in a way that's cohesive, I think that's like really, really the key thing. I think just having good chemistry with the photographer that you're working with too, where they are getting, where they're really getting your essence and what you're trying to convey across. It is the major thing. I think that's one thing that I've really noticed where I've liked doing more art modeling or more erotic modeling. Over doing commercial is that with commercial you're just a vessel where like the actual subject is the bra that you're wearing, and you're just there to be there as a stand-in essentially, um, where I think that like when it comes to content creation, I think the best pictures are the ones where you really get an understanding of who the model is or what they're feeling in that moment or what they're expressing in that moment. Where they get to be the art and they get to be the subject of it. And it's not just about selling something that's on their body or that they're holding.
And then from a modeling perspective, does that change for you when it's become, as a model, what do you think is a
Mhm.
good picture?
Um, yeah, I mean, I think that it's just where I think the main thing is that it looks effortless. I think that the the biggest the two pitfalls that you can go into, I think, are either making like focusing so much on looking like you're not trying that maybe your core is not engaged all the way, or your angles are weird, or you're doing something funny with one of your hands because you're not fully thinking about how everything within the frame looks, or your pose looks perfect, but it's very clear that you've been holding it this entire time and that you're overthinking it. So I think it's like similar to, I'd say that it's very similar to like dancing, where you have to have this intense awareness of your body and of your face, but look like you're just captured in the moment.
And I produce and create content and stuff.
Hmm.
For me, I would prefer to sit down with a model like yourself, pick out some outfits, and then
Hmm.
see. I like to kind of let you go because I find a
Yeah.
lot of times if the model's relaxed and just having fun, I like that type of
Hmm.
stuff more than if you spend 3 hours trying to get her to pose one way. And like you said earlier, she's been in the pose too long.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's a big part of it. I think that um yeah, when I have an outfit, uh it will do my outfit or my hair and makeup a lot of times will have a big impact on how I behave in front of the camera, because it gives me sort of a character that I'm playing with, or a facet of myself that I'm accessing. So if I'm wearing like a more flouncy skirt, or my hair is in pigtails, or I'm just like wearing something that's like a little bit more like light and bubbly, then I'll go more into that realm. If I'm wearing something that's edgier, then I'll go more editorial. If I'm wearing something that's kind of more traditional, like va va voom boudoir, then I can access that. So I think that, yeah, I think that having my favorite photo shoots are the ones where I have enough to work with, where I have my boundaries that I'm working within, where I have sort of a sense of like, this is what we're going for. And then I can have that in mind and play around with that however I feel inclined to in the moment.
Were you doing OnlyFans before Holly reached out to you, or did you do OnlyFans? Are you doing OnlyFans now?
I had already been doing OnlyFans. I've been I started my OnlyFans right around when I started doing pro shoots, so around early to mid February.
What was it an easy process for you to, I'm guessing you were shooting nudes and
Mhm.
everything right away in OnlyFans? Was that an easy thing for you
Yeah.
to do? Is there any issues?
No, I felt very comfortable with it. I've always felt really comfortable in my body. I mean, just like growing up being an athlete, like you're naked in front of people all the time. Um, so, and yeah, I've done photo shoots in that sense before. And yeah, I prefer to take things that are pretty and are artsy. Those are my favorite shoots to do. So. And because like this always has felt very right to me intuitively, I think that I had a little bit of nerves at the very beginning because it's just like me doing something new, but never anything too bad. I honestly never felt uneasy about anything that I've been doing so far. I think part of that is just being very lucky to get in with great people right away. I have a great relationship with my agent, Veronica. I have a great relationship with Holly and with the X Suite team. Um, and I'm like deeply, deeply lucky to have that sort of start and to have like a family and friends that are very supportive too. And because of all of that, I didn't have any because I had like a very like a natural desire to do this where like the potential money is great, but really it's just that it makes me doing this sustainable. Um, and because I have this solid support network and because everyone whose opinion I give a shit about is on my team. Um, I it's been a pretty easy transition for me, which I recognize I'm a very special case in that way. I'm very lucky in that way, and I'm deeply grateful for that.
Into women, now when you start shooting content, you have to, I don't say approach it differently, but we need 15 minutes, but you want to just like jump into this like now. Do you take your time when you shoot
Mhm.
like that? Do you do?
I think it depends. I think that like I um I mean, usually, like when you're shooting stuff, like the first scene's a make out anyway. And so, like, that kind of is enough of a warm up for me already. I think that just like at least having like a fun, like a like normal, chill conversation with someone beforehand, like, and of course, also a conversation about like boundaries and all of that is important to just like establish some sort of base connection with whoever I'm shooting with beforehand. But I think that like if we're just shooting together and we're not like doing a custom, for example, I think that they're just naturally when I'm talking with a girl, we'll kind of see like what we'll be able to read each other's energies and sort of figure out in time what makes the most sense for us to shoot with each other. Um, like I've had a few shoots now where we go into it kind of assuming that we're going to use more toys than we actually do, because we kind of just get caught up in our own chemistry with each other, that just throwing in something out of the blue would kind of like detract from what we're already doing. But then at the same time, like there can still be a lot of fun. So I think it can be a mix. There are some times where I'm shooting and I'm basically just having a fun time with someone, and maybe the person taking the videos reminding us to fix our hair or like having us like redo one thing to get a close up or like okay we should do XYZ for like a grand finish. And then there are other times where it's like okay, let's hit these three different marks and kind of go at it. And I can enjoy both. Um, I I really enjoy the feeling of being on camera and the feeling of making something. Um, like the the higher the production value of a shoot, the more of a turn on it is to me. So it's a very specific type of exhibitionism in that way, I guess. Um, but there's also something about sort of the tension of like you're in the middle of something and you need to pause, reset, like get whatever touched up and then resume. And I think that that's really hot in its own way. So yeah, I like a little bit of both. I think that like from if I'm like trying to make something efficiently, I like kind of having a sense of like, okay, we're gonna like hit these three things eventually, but how we get there can be sort of intuitive and organic. I like having an outline um, to be able to go back to if needed. Um, but I think that I think that it's there if it's there as a general guideline and not something hard and fast that you have to commit to, that's the best. So I think that like obviously like you're not gonna have the same chemistry with every single person that you're
Right, right.
with. And so if you are if it's not as instant fireworks as someone, then having that outline and still being able to get get a lot of like genuine enjoyment out of like feeling that going through those steps like that can really helpful. But then at the same time, if something's just electric from the jump, then being able to say, okay, you know what, we're throwing this out the window, just go. I think that's also really important. So yeah, I think that like yeah, with it, I think that with a lot of with creative projects in general, a lot of times it's really helpful to have guidelines that you're completely allowed to abandon.
What is your OnlyFans, your handle and all that?
Um, gosh, let's see. Um, my OnlyFans is Ophelia, Ophelia underscore Fae, Fae.
How often do you update and all the kind of content stuff do you do? Let's make you some money.
Um, Yeah, I post I have some sort of post on there daily. Uh I put like yeah, so still my I do a lot like my personal projects tend to go on there, photo shoots that I like. Um so it's everything from things that are too explicit for Instagram to full girl collabs. Um, and yeah, I'm open to customs. I would love to actually do more customs because I think that even if something's not my thing, I am very I like to explore it just out of like, intellectual interest a lot of the times. So I just get really fascinated by this being something that makes someone tick that I want to explore it and fulfill that fantasy. So yeah, I think that like overall, overall it's primarily like those personal projects, collabs with other women, customs are available, a mix of like solos, stills, some sexting, all that sort of stuff. Yeah.
You mentioned custom work. What's the craziest request you got for a custom so far?
Oh gosh, I haven't had anything that's been too shocking. Um, I'd say the craziest thing about the customs that I've gotten so far is like I think that I was most surprised by is I got a custom that involved a lot of toys and gear that I didn't have left. And part of that was that they would provide all of it with me. So that was really exciting that I got to make this new project and to make this custom for them. And then also got a lot of new things to play with as part of the setup. So that was a mix of like e-stem and strap and the glass dildo and all of that. So I definitely, it's definitely fun to be spoiled. I think that I'd love to do some more stuff that involves like costumes, role play, all of that. Um, but yeah, I think that yeah, I'd love for my fans to take a little bit of advantage of my creativity.
And to be successful on platforms like OnlyFans, is it more about your personality or people want to watch you have sex?
I think it's a mix. I think that people come to it for different for different reasons. So I think that there are probably some people that just think I'm attractive and think that if they ask enough times, they'll suddenly do a boy girl scene. Um, but there, and then there are people that really do just appreciate me for me. I've been really excited to see how many queer fans that I've gotten. Of course, the majority of my base is still male, but I think right now, even on Instagram, I'm at like 15% female audience, which I feel like for someone in this industry is pretty solid. Um, and yeah, I've had a few female fans that said that I've been actually really helpful for them exploring their own sexuality and kind of coming into their own attraction to women. And that's been really special to me.
And I know you've been in the business for a very short amount of time, but for you, what's the reality of this versus what people think it is?
The reality that I've experienced is that everything's highly professional. Um, everyone everyone that I've worked with has taken consent, and yeah, everything being and health and safety very seriously. But at the same time, like it's been a very friendly, very fun environment. Um, like I've had a few different industry events that I've gone to where it's just felt like a big slumber party with adults. And so I think that there's a conception that like, oh, like it's like this scary, seedy thing, and everyone's trying to take advantage of you and all this stuff. Where my experience has been that it's been just a lot of like-minded, creative people who generally really look out for each other. I think that there's also the conception. I think that a lot of people outside of the industry conflate more shocking content with like ethics, essentially. That like, oh, if it's something that's more out there, then it must be, then the person must hate what they're doing, or it must be exploitative. Where I've spoken to performers that do a lot more than I do, and no, they love everything that they're doing, and they feel safe with what they're doing. And a lot of times, the at least with major publication and it's like the like real established official things, a lot of the ones where it seems crazier are a lot of times the sets where you get treated the most like a princess. Um, so yeah, I think that most of the stigmatized opinions of it are not based in reality, or they're based in maybe a reality 10 years ago, or a reality of bad actors that are not actually a part of the more like mainstream, well established community. Because, like, at the end of the day, it's a professional industry and it acts accordingly.
Quickly, Holly reaches out to you, you start working with Holly. Did you go into that with any preconceived idea, or did they kind of explain the whole thing to you beforehand? Okay, we'd like to do this, then we want to do this, then we want to do this.
I like I was familiar with Holly because I'd listened to her podcast. So that's how I knew that this was a beyond once in a lifetime opportunity. But she she and like the whole like XP team, like they've sort of walked me through um sort of what their overall plans are for the platform, for like what they're doing in general, how I can fit into that equation. Um, I did a lot. I did a lot of research before getting started through like her podcast, through the Adult Time podcast, all of those to sort of get a sense of like what I was interested in, what I wanted to do, what I didn't want to do. But I think that everything that they're doing is still in its early stages, so it's been sort of a partnership where we're figuring out sort of like what things look like for me as they progress. And yeah, it's been a really amazing time so far. I could not have imagined a better way to get started in the industry.
When you mentioned you went to some industry events, was that as a performer or either almost as a civilian?
So it was as a performer, but before, so my very first industry event was when I um like a couple weeks after talking with like the X Suite team about my first content trade scene that I would do for them. And I had shot and after shooting that, but it was before my first studio scene. And that was for the Excessive magazine launch party. And that also happened to be on my mom's birthday. um, and so it was a few days before my first pro shoot, but I was already establishing myself as talent at a very visible event. And so that was kind of my deadline for letting everyone in my life know before I ended up on, yeah, before I ended up online publicly as a performer, even though I wasn't gonna have anything to debut yet. So at that point, like I wrote out a 4-page letter to my parents actually, to kind of explain to them like why I was doing it, that like it wasn't a decision out of duress and that it was something that I had like real creative ambitions for, and also kind of like addressing the like frequently bridged concerns that parents may have. And once I got their response, which was absolutely amazing, I obliterated my previous Instagram down to like very few followers, privated it and all of that sort of thing. Let the people left on there know, like, you may have noticed that this account looks really weird now. Here's why. Um, and just kind of fully sent it from there. I was never interested in hiding it from people in my life, because I knew whatever the timeline would be, that my parents would be supportive. It was a lot faster of a timeline for them to be supportive than anyone I think could have expected. Um, but like I knew that I like I had spent enough of my life in like grade school hiding facets of who I am. I had no interest in doing that. I'm not attached to I don't feel attachment to people who don't want to be around me for me and everything that means. So um and I yeah, got great reception from everyone that I let know. So that was my first event. And then I went to like a couple other excessive things. I did a collab house that was kind of more in the OnlyFans sphere as opposed to the traditional sphere, with a few girls that were all sapphic performers. And that was a lot of fun. And we are actually going to do another round of shooting for that in May. And then, yeah, most recently the excessive music house was a ton of fun. That partnership with Strip Chat. Um, I did the shoot day for content, and then just like the 2 days of like various parties. All of it's been a great time so far, and everyone's been very welcoming.
Do you have goals in the business? Like what would making it mean to you? Would you win an award? Would you work for a company, work with the performer? What would be that for you?
Um, yeah, I really, above all, I really want to change like what, or I want to redefine what it means to be a girl exclusive performer. I try to even avoid the word only because I feel like saying only minimizes it. Um, where I would love to win like girl specific awards, but I would love to also like break glass ceilings for what can be expected of a girl performer. Like I would love to get nominated or awarded for categories that you're traditionally thinking would require someone to be a boy girl. I want to, yeah, be someone that other lesbians can see themselves in. I want to make stuff that is still like that is still very much a fantasy and still very hot, but is done in a way where it's showing sex that like women actually enjoy with each other. I want to make stuff that's like authentic and from our view and like what's actually appealing to like women like me. So like other feminine women who like women. Because I think that what I like and what a lot of straight guys like, there's a lot less of a difference between those two things than they may think. And I've even mentioned some ideas that I have here and there that like I don't want to like give away anything before I have things set up. But when I mentioned them to some of my like the straight guys that I've talked to, they've all said that they sound hot. So I I think that by being really authentic in my voice, for the stuff that like eventually when it comes to self-producing content, when I have more of my own budget to work with for that, or like being part of features, or ideally again, I'd love to do like an all-girl showcase someday, when I'm more established, like where I have creative control, doing it in a way where I think that like guys that I think really like lesbian porn, I think that they don't know what they're missing out on yet until they get the point of view of the type of lesbian that they like to watch. Because I think that, yeah, and that way it, I think it feeds into a lot. One thing that really lit a fire under me was question that I got from a fan that asked me like, "Oh, so if you're a lesbian, does that mean you're a virgin?" And the fact that I'm not the gold star aside, the implication there being that like if you're only having sex with women, then you're not having real sex. And I think that that's an extreme example of that, but I think that that comes from a broader overall rhetoric. And I hope that the stuff that I do and the stuff that I make essentially shatters that because I think that by doing that, it has a bigger social impact than just porn, and it affects more than even just like gay women because I think the idea that, oh, if you're only having lesbian sex, that's not real sex. That then is like, oh, that's because women don't really want sex. That's because like this, that, and the other. It doesn't matter what women want. So like, I think that erotic material is a way to potentially make a bigger social change without people even realizing it. Because if you're seeing someone in like a very intimate state, you're getting more at a core of human nature, like just cutting right to the chase. And so I want to have an impact on the way that people view lesbian sexuality, but also just like women's sexuality in general, um, by making stuff that is authentic, but that's still beautiful and still a fantasy.
Anything you want to say to all of your fans?
Thank you. I think um I think especially thank you to the ones that have been that kind of know the place that I'm coming from and have been so supportive in me being so unapologetically and unambiguously lesbian. I've had a few times where I've seen someone on like Instagram or Twitter be like, "Oh, you should do XYZ with this male like with insert male talent or boy girl company." And then I've had like a few fans like dogpile on and be like, "She's girl only." And I think that that's been really cool to see that um pe the I appreciate all of the people that support me, but especially the ones that like are actively behind me, sticking true to who I am. That means really a lot to me. And then yeah, I think especially also like my like female and LGBT fans will always have a special place in my heart. So like especially a big thank you to any of them.